Hello, everybody. It's Andrew Hutchings here, still not a licensed physician and never getting medical advice. And I decided to make another random opioid video. This one is about the withdrawal, how it works, and how it could be sped up. And I think it is done sometimes, but not often. Because when I looked into it a while ago, it had been documented that some people had tried it. I think it's a great idea. Not enough other people do, clearly. So that idea is using naloxone, like IV naloxone, for a few days, a week, after you discontinue the opioids. But now I'll get back to withdrawal. So when you use opiates or opioids, especially if you use like super potent ones like fentanyl that have super strong activation of the receptors, your body is going to downregulate your opioid receptors. It means destroy some, take some inside the cells, not crank out as many, from like turn down the DNA expression. So like normally DNA is turning into RNA, then making proteins. Those proteins are receptors, but your body's going to be turning that off, so it's not making new ones. It's getting rid of a lot of the ones that you currently have, because you've got so many opioids out there that can bind that it's freaking out. It's trying to decrease that activation of the opioid receptors. So it gets rid of the receptors. But if you have fentanyl activating those few receptors that are left, and then you go back to your natural production with those few receptors, it's a gigantic difference. Because fentanyl is like activating them like 10,000. And then you go to your natural stuff, and there's very few receptors. When you have your natural stuff, it's meant to have all the receptors. Your natural stuff is a fraction, like a micro fraction as strong as fentanyl. So even though, let's just say those 3 receptors were enough when they had super powerful fentanyl binding to them, when it goes back to your natural stuff, it's like practically nothing. So that's why you're going to be going through withdrawal, feeling horrible, sweating, crapping, vomiting, and not feeling so hot. Or maybe you will be feeling very hot at times, but probably you'll be feeling very cold. So what you can do because the problem is you don't have the receptors. So even if you have the natural opioids, you don't have the receptors to bind them, to get bound. But if you take naloxone, which antagonizes the receptors, you basically do the opposite. If you're super antagonizing the receptors, your body freaks out and goes, whoa, I need more opioid receptors. And it starts turning on the DNA to make the RNA, to make the proteins, make more receptors that can get bound up by your natural opioids. So if you were to discontinue, or probably it would even be better, like once you get down to a really small amount, start using the naloxone like for a few days, and then discontinue the opioid. Like, it's going to make you go through withdrawal instantly. But the reason I say, like, don't stop using the opioids first is because it's not going to make much of a difference. It's not going to help you out. So why go through withdrawal for an extra day or 2 or 3 or 4 before you start the naloxone? You may as well just taper down, start naloxone, then discontinue the opioids, like, immediately when you start the naloxone. Because, yeah, there's no reason to go through withdrawal without using any opioids and without using naloxone, because it's just a waste of time. Because when you're using that naloxone, your body's going to be upregulating the receptors. When you go off it, you'll have your natural production of opioid molecules, and you'll also have a large amount of receptors for them. You'll be in a much better position than if you didn't use the naloxone, because it can take weeks or months. It can take a long time to get those receptors back and that natural production back. Because it's also going to increase your natural production of the opioid molecules besides the receptors. Sadly, it would be very hard to do on your own. If you've got a ton of money, you could just buy like a zillion Narcan nasal sprays, and just like every 15 minutes, I'm not saying to do this, I'm not a licensed physician, never giving medical advice, but if you had all the money in the world, you could just buy a zillion of those nasal sprays, and every 15 minutes be spraying them in your nose. Or if you have a friend that's a doctor, maybe they can find some IV Narcan and hook you up to an IV that drips it in you for a few days. That would be pretty awesome. Don't use opiates, they're bad. Don't get addicted to opiates, don't get addicted to drugs, don't use drugs. Your body's not meant to be with drugs, it's best to be without drugs. But if you did use drugs and you are on opiates, this video can help you. I hope you like this video. My website is andrewhutchings.org, where you can hire me for consultations. My Instagram is natural_true_fitness. And I've got like 420 other videos. Good number. Although I do not smoke weed. We probably have got like 423 by now. Who knows exactly how many? I don't know. Maybe you know. Maybe you're following my stuff so much that you know. I am working on losing weight. I was gonna do extremely fast weight loss, but then I got sick. Maybe coronavirus, maybe not coronavirus. I don't know because I couldn't get tested. So I've lost a little bit of weight, but not much. I need to lose a lot more. Still far too fat. Can't really see abs too well.